While you're watching YouTube videos about the next 100x meme coin, Wall Street is quietly accumulating an asset that 99% of retail investors have never heard of. The signs are everywhere. Fireblocks integration, FCA regulatory approval in progress, Kraken institutional listing, World Mobile Infrastructure Partnership, MiCA compliance positioning. These aren't random events. This is a coordinated institutional positioning strategy. And it's happening right now with Zebec Network. I'm gonna show you exactly what smart money sees that retail is missing, and why the window to position before mainstream awareness closes is measured in weeks, not months. Let's start with the biggest signal that institutional money is coming: Fireblocks integration. If you don't know Fireblocks, here's what matters. They're the institutional-grade custody and settlement platform used by Bank of New York Mellon, ANZ Bank, Revolut, and over 1,500 financial institutions managing trillions in assets. Fireblocks doesn't integrate random altcoins. They integrate assets that institutional clients are demanding access to. When Fireblocks adds an asset, it means banks, hedge funds, and asset managers are asking for exposure. Zebec's Fireblocks integration went live in Q3 2024. That means institutional clients can now custody, trade, and settle ZBCN with the same security infrastructure they use for Bitcoin and Ethereum. But here's what retail doesn't understand. Fireblocks integration takes months of technical audits, security reviews, and compliance verification. Institutions don't move fast. The fact that Fireblocks integration is live means this process started over a year ago. Wall Street has been positioning on Zebec since early 2024. They just didn't announce it on Twitter. This is how institutional accumulation works. Infrastructure first, custody solutions, regulatory compliance, then liquidity, then marketing. Retail always shows up last. The second signal, FCA regulatory approval in the United Kingdom. The Financial Conduct Authority is one of the strictest financial regulators in the world. They don't approve crypto projects lightly. Zebec has been in the FCA approval process since mid-2024, and industry insiders expect approval in Q1 2025. Why does this matter? FCA approval means Zebec can legally operate as a payment institution in the UK. That means UK banks can integrate Zebec's payment streaming infrastructure. UK businesses can use Zebec for payroll. UK consumers can access Zebec services through regulated financial institutions. But the real play is what happens after UK approval. The UK is the gateway to Europe. FCA approval accelerates MiCA compliance across the European Union. That's 27 countries and 450 million people gaining regulated access to Zebec. And here's the institutional angle nobody's talking about. London is the financial capital of Europe. Every major bank, hedge fund, and asset manager has UK operations. FCA approval means these institutions can legally offer Zebec exposure to European clients. This isn't about speculation. This is about regulatory infrastructure that unlocks institutional distribution channels. Wall Street knows this. That's why they're positioning now before FCA approval makes headlines and retail piles in. Third signal, Kraken listing in October 2024. Retail sees exchange listings as price pumps. Institutions see exchange listings as liquidity infrastructure. Kraken isn't Binance. They don't list hundreds of random tokens. Kraken focuses on institutional-grade assets with regulatory clarity. They're the exchange that institutional traders use when they need deep liquidity and regulatory compliance. Zebec's Kraken listing means institutional traders can now execute large orders without slippage. Hedge funds can enter and exit positions with minimal market impact. Asset managers can rebalance portfolios efficiently. But here's the key insight. Kraken listings don't happen overnight. The application process, technical integration, and compliance review takes 6 to 9 months. Zebec applied for Kraken listing in early 2024. Fourth signal, the World Mobile Partnership announced in September 2024. This is the institutional play that retail completely misunderstands. World Mobile is building the world's largest decentralized physical infrastructure network, connecting the unbanked and underbanked across Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. They're deploying thousands of mobile network nodes, millions of users gaining internet access for the first time, and every single one of those users needs a payment solution. That's where Zebec comes in. World Mobile chose Zebec as their payment infrastructure layer, not Visa, not MasterCard, not traditional payment rails. Zebec. Why? Because traditional payment systems can't handle microtransactions profitably. When you're serving populations earning $2 to $5 per day, you need payment infrastructure that can process transactions for fractions of a cent. Zebec's streaming payment technology makes this economically viable. Paper megabyte internet access, real-time micropayments for services, instant settlement without intermediaries. Let's zoom out and talk about why institutions are positioning on payment streaming as a sector. The global payroll market is $11 trillion annually. 11 trillion, and it's completely broken. Employees wait 2 weeks for money they already earned. Employers pay billions in payroll processing fees. Banks profit from the float, while workers overdraft their accounts between paychecks. Payment streaming solves this. Instead of batch payments every 2 weeks, money flows continuously as it's earned. Employees get instant access. Employers reduce processing costs. Banks lose their float advantage. Zebec isn't just building this technology, they're already deploying it. Live payroll implementations with real companies, real employees receiving streamed salaries. This isn't a white paper promise. This is working infrastructure. And here's what Wall Street sees. When payment streaming captures even 1% of the global payroll market, that's $110 billion in annual transaction volume. At a 1% take rate, that's over $1 billion in annual protocol revenue. But it's not just payroll. Subscription services, freelance payments, cross-border remittances, vendor payments. Every payment use case that currently operates on batch processing can be streamed. Institutions aren't betting on ZBCN as a token. They're betting on Zebec as the infrastructure layer for a $1 trillion transformation in how money moves. This is AWS for payments. This is Visa for the streaming economy. And they're positioning now before mainstream awareness, before retail understands the sector, before payment streaming becomes the standard. So, what happens when retail finally wakes up to what institutions have been building? Look at the pattern. Institutional infrastructure gets built in silence. Fireblocks integration, Kraken listing, FCA approval, banking partnerships, regulatory compliance. This takes 12 to 18 months. Then comes the catalyst. Maybe it's FCA approval going live. Maybe it's a major UK bank announcing Zebec integration. Maybe it's World Mobile hitting 10 million users. Maybe it's a Fortune 500 company announcing streamed payroll. That's when mainstream media covers it. That's when retail discovers it. That's when the FOMO cycle begins. But by then, institutions have already accumulated at levels retail will never see again. That's how smart money works. Build infrastructure in silence. Position before awareness. Exit into retail liquidity. I'm not telling you what to do with this information. I'm showing you the pattern. Fireblocks doesn't integrate random projects. Kraken doesn't list speculative tokens. The FCA doesn't approve vaporware. World Mobile doesn't partner with unproven technology. These are institutional validation signals, and they're all pointing at Zebec. Right now. Before retail awareness. The question isn't whether institutions are positioning on Zebec. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is whether you're paying attention to the signals before the mainstream catches on. That's it for this video. If you found value in this analysis, subscribe to DefiCryptoTalk for daily Zebec and Kaspa insights. Drop a comment with your thoughts on institutional accumulation patterns, and I'll see you in the next one.